was founded to manage Stanley Park. And Stanley Park is now a forest. It plays a unique role in our district air quality and in our environment. And it's very different from managing the parks in the rest of the city. It's a very different task ecologically. And I think it just speaks to a need to clarify what the mandate of the park board actually is. I also don't think we need to assess every tree. I think a forest doesn't get managed in the same way that an urban landscape does.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi. Hello. My name is Sasha, and this is addressed to everyone who isn't an ABC candidate, so whoever wants to answer. I thought maybe there would be some here, but that's okay. So by-elections are a special circumstance where you know who you're going to be working with for the next 2 years, so you're kind of going in with a set of known variables and like who your colleagues are going to be. And given that you may have political differences with the current majority of council, what is your strategy to leverage your role as a city councillor, knowing that you might be going in as an opposition? And what do you see as your role on council over the next 2 years if you are seated in opposition? Like, how do you plan on affecting change?
So it's a three-parter question, and so we'll give it a minute each, and we'll start with Annette.
Thank you. I have one of the advantages here where I'm going in working with somebody who I'm already working with, right? So I can hit the ground running with Pete as a united front in a trusting relationship, whereas the other relationships will need to be built, right? It's an interpersonal issue, really, if you think about it. I have already been reaching out and getting to know some people just in case. But this is also my strength with my career as a first AD. My job is to collect information from all the different experts in different departments, take that information, make a plan, make a strategy, and move forward and get everybody working towards the same goal, no matter what differences arise. So this to me is like where I can shine as a city council member. And I really look forward to using that skill set to help everybody work in cooperation across party lines, so that we can actually get things done instead of obstructing everything, right? Yeah.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, good question. I think sometimes you have to say no to bullies and you have to stand up to them. Another thing is that one co-councillor can achieve a lot. Rent control that we all enjoy, that was one co-councillor in the 70s that got that done, and now it's province-wide. Free transit for children under 12, that was one co-councillor that Jean Swanson won. So COPE keeps other parties honest, they hold them accountable, and they open the door to be a megaphone for social justice and social movements. And I will keep my door open in that regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One of the things that I believe is important, my background is I had a cafe for 17 years in New Westminster. And through that excuse of having coffee was communication, conversation, and community. And that's my philosophy in life, is to have conversations with people, even if they don't always agree with you. But for me, I would go in, and I will be my fat, fabulous gay self, very much so, but I will also be able to let go of that and just have conversations and show the humanity and stuff. I believe by Christmas, you will have 3 other councillors leaving ABC. They're starting to dwindle because a lot of us people are actually people who went in with hope that he would be a good mayor. And they're realizing the bully system, the Donald Trump way of reigning is not what they want. So we'll just give them a better place to come. That's what I would do. I would extend my hand and say, come and work on the other side of the aisle. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Theodore Colleen?
Yes, so I believe in pragmatism. I do believe that sometimes you also need to put your dukes up. We have an ABC party that is fractured and falling apart, and I think there is ground to be gained in terms of perhaps brokering some more ABC councillors to leave the party or conveniently get themselves kicked out. And if we can do that, then we could erode their supermajority, which they currently hold. You have to work together, we have to get things done. I'm not going to capitulate to any BS that ABC puts forward, but at the same time, yeah, it's as, you know, there's no I in team.
Can I go?
Please.
I know my way around from the minute I walk in the door. I've been there before. I know the players and I know the lay of the land. These guys have got a majority. We got to make sure they don't get any more players on the board.
No.
What do you say? No more ABC. But we need tangible opposition. And the reason the team is running two candidates, myself and Theodore here, is because if I get motions, I need someone to second them so that we can get them on the floor in the first place. And it's absolutely essential to shine a light on what is broken with the current council and also be able to look to the future and come up with legitimate plans that are achievable. And the two of us will be able to do that even though we're in a minority. We will be the opposition. And it's only 18 months till the next civic election, folks.
Thank you. Roller Girl, the question while you're out of the room is, if you were elected, how would you work with the people who are already on city council?
I think that would be, I don't know, it's just, I think we should demolish the ABC. ABC is, they're take and give. They give and they take, and they can't even make up their mind. So let's build a structure for the community. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
I'm Devin. I live and work in the downtown east side. And my question, or info, so last summer, city staff gave a 10-year housing targets report. And for housing for people making under $20,000 a year, that's shelter rate housing, city staff said the need is 26,000 units in 10 years, and the target that city council passed was for 2,500 units. That's 9% of what the need is target. So what does city council need to do to close that gap from 2,500 to 26,000 in 10 years?
Okay, I've been called out quite rightly because some people didn't get a chance to answer the question that was asked. I was focused on making sure Roller Girl got a chance to ask.
Thank you.
Stepped out for the minute. So before we get to your question, I apologize, Devin. I'm gonna give Jennifer a chance to answer, and then Karen, and then.
Can I get first dibs on this one?
Lucy.
As a case manager, I will transfer my skills from a case manager position to a city councilor. We always collaborate, we always compromise, and we strategize action plans. It's about logic to do things, to solve problems. It's not about emotions that we work on. If we have to work on with everyone in city council, we have to work with logic. It's not about things. We have to move on to solve problems equitably for the community. Thank you.
Go ahead, Karen. Just to remind everybody, the question was about working with existing members of council if you're elected.
I tend to question dominant narratives that are creating sort of a knee-jerk type of repetitive decision-making and repetitive beliefs. And I really question some of the bases on which City Council is promoting development, among other things, also making some of their other funding decisions. I find, for example, that they have a knee-jerk response to below-market housing. It's like, ooh, below-market housing, that sounds fantastic. But in fact, I believe that that's actually driving the market higher, and so I don't really think they're getting anywhere with their below-market units. and even social housing. They keep focusing on getting people into social housing, but I don't see any effort being put into scaffolding people out of social housing, into creating a market that allows people to scaffold out into units that they can afford and where they can be more self-determining. So, and community amenity response is also one that they're kicking.
Okay, we're time. Thank you. Go ahead.
I already have a long track record of working constructively with the current councillors, even when I strongly disagree with them. And I've also been a very strong progressive voice of opposition, publicly holding current councillors to account. I've dusted myself off after terrible decisions that have been heartbreaking for me, and then gone into meetings and worked constructively with councillors to get real results that you can see on the streets all over Vancouver, like at Wallace Street and West 16th, where I worked with the West 16th School Safety Coalition, made up of parents from Lord Byng Secondary, Ecole Jules Quinnell and Queen Elizabeth, to advocate for funding to be put into road safety improvements on 16th.
Thanks. I just wanted to consult Devin to make sure I was going to summarize this question. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I just wanted to check with Devin. So the question was focused on shelter housing, and there was a report that indicated it was 26,000. Devin's going to correct me.
Okay, so last summer, the 10-year housing targets report said that Vancouver needs 26,000 shelter rate units in 10 years. That's housing, renting at $500 a month for people on disability, seniors on basic pensions, and people on welfare. 26,000 in 10 years. Council passed a target for 2,500 units. That's 9% of what the need is. So what do you think council needs to do to close that gap?
Okay, thank you. We're going to start with Roller Girl. We're going to give you each person 1 minute.
Okay, the solution to get is BC Housing, okay? Hey, I'm on a disability. I get $1,600 plus $500 shelter rate, okay? I was homeless, and, for 3 years, okay? And, it's really, really sick and tired of me fighting for my own housing. They want to kick me out. I have to fight for my own housing. I get $1,600 a month. I can't even afford to feed myself fairly. That's what I have to say. We should all be on BC Housing. Come on now. Let's get over this nonsense.
Thank you. We're going to go down the line. So, Theodore or Colleen?
Yeah, so when I'm talking about advocating for affordable housing for Vancouver residents, I'm talking about advocating for housing for everyone, and that includes our most vulnerable residents. When we're building all this new luxury housing, every time we build that new condo that displaces people, we push people down the housing ladder, and eventually someone falls off the bottom. And walking around Vancouver, I can tell that we certainly need more welfare rate housing and not less. And so if I was on council, I think I would try to work with senior levels of government, with the province and the feds, to try to get that housing built, because I think it's something we need more of. And also, take a look at exactly what those projections were based on, but certainly in Vancouver we need more welfare rate housing.
Colleen, go ahead.
So I don't know where we went, Devin, if you're still there. The Housing Vancouver strategy targets that have been set in decades are very questionable. When I pressed them on what data they used to come up with those targets, they said there was no data. It was aspirational. So I am with you that we need to be having the right amount of housing in the right to be able to be applied to people. But what I am really pushing for, because in the 4 years I was on council, I never got that data out of city staff. And it would have made a big difference if we were making decisions that were actually informed by data, not by aspiration. Just saying.
Jennifer?
I am a case manager right now, and we always advocate for housing for people with disabilities, seniors, and all other vulnerable population. I am working with Indigenous Services Canada to make housing their priority for homeless, especially in downtown East Side. To bridge the gap, we really have to write letters to them, write letters to Vancouver Coastal Health, write letters to health authorities, because these are the people who have the funding for this housing. BC Housing have the money, but they are not doing it.
They're corrupted.
I know it from my side. So if we all of us write a letter to these departments and authorities, we can have housing, not just from the municipal level. Because the municipal level can only write things, but you, as the people of Mount Pleasant, you can advocate too, and we can be a team to gather that housing for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy for Colleen's answer, because my first instinct is to question that 26,000 number. I live in Strathcona. I know the area well, and I am staggered to think where the need for 26,000 people to be in residents, to be in that particular area comes from. I don't see it at all. And by the way, there's no room. If we're talking about insufficient parks and a fear that parks will be developed, Strathcona has among the lowest park space in the city, and is quite jealously guards it, and I don't think we want to see a lot of pressure on it to any encroachment from that kind of building. It really speaks to this idea of a housing crisis that requires this quantity of building. It's based on what? It's based on thousands of people entering the city and staying here, when the accountability is to the people who are already here. We're not obligated to build for people coming out of, other parts of the...
Thank you. Lucy?
We need to start approving supportive housing again, end the apartment ban, protect existing non-market and social housing through renewing leases, implement One City's motion to make it faster and easier to build supportive housing and non-market housing, not delay it like is happening at the moment, and we need to use city land to build deeply affordable and non-profit housing, not market housing, market rentals, which can be dealt with quite easily by private companies if we free up the 80% of the city where apartments are banned at the moment.
Thank you.